Hello, hello, everyone. I am so thrilled that you are here. This is our second week of the series. We are talking about being a boss with your finances. We are going to discuss housing and shopping for your first home. Our first week, we did talk about death taxes and now looking for home ownership. So I'm so thrilled for this today. Let's move on to our next slide. All right, before we get too far ahead, we want to discuss some accessibility. If you are on your cell phone or an iPad, it is if you are sound dependent, please turn your sound on because we do have voice interpretation provided. We do have closed captioning as well if you'd like to follow along with what is being said. If you happen to experience any technical difficulties with the captions, or you can't see me, or you can't hear the interpreters, feel free to reach out via chat to our tech support team. Go ahead to the next slide. There may be a few of you out who do not prefer the smaller view, or perhaps you need to see the real PowerPoint a bit larger. Feel free to move. There's actually a little panel of little white lines that you can adjust to make the signer or the PowerPoint larger, depending on your need. Go ahead to the next slide. We will have a Q&A session at the end. So if there is a burning question that does come to mind, go ahead and type it into the Q&A because there may be someone who has a similar question. They can then like it, and if it gets so many likes, it will move to the top and we'll make sure that that question is answered because it is something that is of interest to many. If there's any issues, like I said, with technical problems, you can also put that into the chat. Let's move on to the next slide. I want to send a heartfelt thank you to CSD Learns. This is who is facilitating this event, and if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. So I am looking forward to working with them continuously in the future, as well as Wells Fargo, because they have provided funding. Here is a brief introduction about me, your host for this evening. I live in Rochester. I work for NTID under RID. I am in the admissions department. I don't travel too much, but I've been doing the dirty work. So working with the budget and the finances, and that's why I'm here, because I love money. I am a boss with the finances. So let's move on. As I mentioned, this evening, we are going to talk about real estate, and specifically for those who are first-time home buyers or maybe even second or third homeowners. But in the state of coronavirus and how the world looks now, we want to discuss. Next week, we will be talking about a hot topic of cryptocurrency. I've struggled with spelling that, so you all bear with me. So be sure to come back next week so you can learn a bit more about cryptocurrency. I've learned a bit myself, but this is a really fascinating topic. Moving on. All righty. So we are getting closer and closer to our key speaker, Letitia. She signed an L on the shoulder. If you're curious as to what she looks like, here is our beautiful support for tonight. Letitia, come join us on screen. Hey, 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 hey.
Hello, hello.
So I'm so excited to have you here with us tonight. If you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hello, my name is See, Letitia, I'm so happy
Letitia.
to be here. I am a realtor, Realtor, with WPI in South Jersey. It's wealth,
New Jersey. Okay.
equity, and investments. Okay, I
Wow. Nice.
I'm hard of hearing. And I started realty about 6 years ago to help people um, buy homes for the first time. Um, I'm happy to be here to give you all the information you need. Okay.
That means I'm going to have to look you up when it's time for me to buy a house. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, yes, yes.
So moving on to our next slide. Ooh, here we go. It is time for the questions. I want to take just a moment to explain to the audience. Letitia has introduced herself. She is hard of hearing and she can sign. However, due to the topic at hand, we want to make sure she's fully comfortable. So we do have a sign language interpreter that will be joining us this evening. Thank you so much, Glashinda, for joining us. Let's move forward to the next slide. So there's been a few people to bring up this common question. Do we really need a realtor when buying a home? Is there a
Okay.
way to bypass and buy one without one?
Yes. Yes, there is. Um, when you need a realtor is when the house is put up for sale by a realtor. If a homeowner has listed a house with a realtor, then you will need a realtor to buy that house because realtors only speak to realtors when it comes to buying and selling property. However, sometimes sellers put up houses for sale on their own. It's called for sale by owner. If you have a house that's for sale by owner, then you can purchase that house without getting a realtor.
Wow, yikes. Okay, whew, that's pretty scary there. All righty, well, moving on to our next question. Should I talk with the bank before I start looking for houses? Well, what if I want to go out and do some house shopping? Do I need to check with the bank first? What do you think?
Okay. Um, if you are serious about your home buying process at this point in time, yes, you should speak to a bank or a mortgage person about purchasing your house first. Because first, you're going to need to know if you are approved for a loan to buy a house. And you're
Mm-hmm.
also going to need to know how much you are approved for. Because you can't look at $500,000 homes if you're only approved for $200,000. Okay. And most realtors would not even show a house without seeing that you are first approved for a loan. In other words, they don't want to waste their time. Okay. They want to see that you're serious, you have been approved before they start showing you houses. Okay.
Oh, I think I understand. Oh, okay. So it sounds like you better go to the bank first, everybody watching.
Yes.
Next slide.
Yes, you should.
There has been some additional questions about people and wanting to buy their first house. They may be in a rush thinking, oh, we need to hurry up and get it right now. Is it best to look at a number of different houses, or should I just buy the first one? Or
Oh,
should we look at
absolutely.
1 or 5 or 10 or 20? How many houses should I look at before
It's,
I put in an offer? How many do you think?
that's a very interesting question. When you first sign up with your realtor, you're going to tell your realtor all the specifics that you want in your home. How many bedrooms? You want a backyard? You want a 1 car, 2 car garage? All the specifics that you want for your home, you're going to give that information to your realtor. Your realtor should only be showing you houses that have the specifics that you asked for. So once that happens, I would say you could see between 5 and 10 houses until you decide which one is best for you. But you definitely should not buy the first house that you see. Okay, so she should be showing you homes that you would like. You should like. Okay, he or she. And many times when a home buyer walks into a house that's for them, the light bulb is going to go off. They're going to say, "This is it." When you get that "this is it" feeling, then you put an offer in for that particular house. Okay. But like I said, it shouldn't be too many houses that you're looking at. You shouldn't be taking months and months to put an offer in for a house, because once you give her the specifics of what you want in your home, those are the only houses that he or she should be showing you. So by the time you get between 5 and 10 houses, you should be thinking about one of them that you want to put an offer in for. Mm-hmm.
So let's see, that means we have to know what we want. So we have to be able to tell the realtor so that you can look. We can't just say, well, I don't know, whatever, because you can't help me know what I want, right?
Absolutely, because you're going to be paying for that house for a long time. So you need to know what you want, exactly what you want. So you don't mind paying for it. You want to be happy in your home. Absolutely.
Now that's true. That's true. That's true. Well, I was thinking I wanted to play a little game, so do a little something fun for the next
Okay.
slide.
Okay.
Now we're going to do a poll. The question, Letitia, you can't answer, but the question for everyone watching for our poll: can I buy a house without a down payment? Interesting. We have so many people answering saying no. Huh. One person said yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, I have more people voting. Okay, someone says yes, but it's not recommended. Got some good numbers of people responding. It's neck and neck. So, Letitia, what is the answer? Can we buy a house without a down payment?
You can buy a house without a down payment. You can. But there are different ways to do that. Okay. There are certain loans that you can get where you can buy a house without a down payment. There are different grants, first time home buyers programs that you can get and not put a down payment. But just like someone said in the poll, is not recommended, because when you don't pay a down payment, you're paying higher interest and your mortgage payments are higher. Okay. And one of the ways that you can get around that is to have the seller pay down your closing costs, and your down payment is included in that. The seller can pay the closing costs for you if they are um, really ready to sell that home. They can put down money towards your closing costs, and your down payment is included in your closing costs. Other ways is to have government-backed loans which is normally a USDA loan. And that loan is to get you to purchase in a rural area, which are areas that they're trying to build up. They'll let you purchase a home with no down payment. Uh, VA loans. VA loans are loans that military, active military, retired military people can get, and they can get them with no down payment. So it's different scenarios where you can buy a home without a down payment, but you just have to be part of that scenario. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's perfect. I'm actually glad that you brought it up. The government-backed loans or the VA loans, depending on matching your needs. Actually, let's go to the next slide. It links to the next question about grants.
Mm-hmm.
So grants are only for first-time home buyers, I think, but I've heard of people who have second or third houses. Are they able to get grants as well? Is that true?
Yes.
Could you help us out with
Yes.
this information?
Okay. And one of the programs that I mentioned before, which was the USDA loan, where they, like I said, they're trying to get you to buy in rural areas or areas that they're trying to build up. That's one of the loans that you can get a grant to help out with down payment and closing costs. Most of the grants are for first-time home buyers, but if you search, you can find grants that are not only just for first-time home buyers. You just have to do search. You have to search for them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means maybe we should take a workshop or perhaps a course to try and figure out what grants may be available and to see what we're eligible for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are workshops and there are grant programs that you, like I said, you search for and you sign up for to get all the information that you need about those particular grants. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, I'm excited to know that they have something available for everyone. I'm happy to know that.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, next slide. Now, like you said, we need to go to the bank to figure out, our amount. But how do I know how much mortgage I can afford? And what is the 30-33 rule? How is that calculated? If I want to buy a house, how do I know what I can afford, my income and all of these numbers that come up? Help us out, girl.
Okay. So afford and approve is two different things. I see the wording here is how much can you afford? Okay. And the one rule
Oh, I
that the
see.
majority of realtors and bankers and whatnot, financial experts will say that you should spend less than 30% of your income for your mortgage. Okay, so if you make $3,000 a month, they would say your mortgage should not be more than $1,000 a month. That was 1/3 of your income should be toward your mortgage. Okay, however, when you go and get pre-approved for a mortgage, I'm not sure that they take those same numbers into consideration. They're going to tell you how much you approved for based on your credit and your income. Okay, and they don't always equal to 30%. Sometimes it can be more. So you just have to know what you can afford comfortably, which should be 30% of your income. Okay. Okay.
Huh.
And
Oh, goodness.
the
So that
30,
means,
30, go ahead.
oh, no. You were going to explain something else?
Okay.
Keep going. I need to know it all.
Okay. The 30-33 rule is actually what I just discussed, which is spend 30% of your income for your mortgage. And the next one is to save 30% of the value of your home. Okay, and that's just in the saving, just for repairs, maintenance. You know, we should always have money in the bank just for unforeseen circumstances when it comes to your home, because you just never know what might happen, what unexpected expenses you might occur.
That's true. You never know.
And the 3 is the price of your home should not exceed 3 times your annual income. So if you make $100,000 a year, your house should not be more than $300,000. It should be no more than 3 times your annual income.
Oh, yikes. Ugh.
That's the 30-33.
Okay. Woo, that is a great rule, because I know some people may not realize it until they're stuck. They buy a house and end up losing it because they truly cannot afford it. So this rule is something special. Okay, I think people need, hey, everyone, take a picture, copy it down, whatever you need to do. That's a good rule. All right, to the next page. All right, another poll. As Letitia mentioned, your credit. You all need to know where you stand. So if you got a 600, 700, 800, whichever number you have, I want you all to answer the poll. Is it up? Okay. You gotta figure it out. Now, Letitia, you can't answer it. Everybody clicking. Okay, if you're responding in the chat, make sure you click in the actual poll, because it gives us a percentage, and that's what I want to see. Okay, now I'm seeing everybody voting in the poll. I can see it, I can see it. I hope people do recognize and know some of this information. Okay. Everybody ready? Do you want to know the answer? Yeah, okay. People know. I'm proud of y'all. I am proud of you. Yes. Okay, looks like 78% got it correct. It is 3. Let's move on to the next slide. Here are our 3.
That's right.
Letitia, I have a question for you. With these 3 credit bureaus, which is the best? Well, maybe not the best, but which one does the bank use most often? Ooh, that look you're giving me. Uh-oh.
Oh, to tell you the truth, I can't even answer that. I'm not sure which one they use the best, but I know that Equifax give you the highest. I'm sorry, I'm over here signing it. Equifax give you the highest score, than the 3. Equifax gives you the highest score than Experian and TransUnion. But I'm just not. And to tell you the truth, there's another scoring system that the banks use to determine your mortgage. I'm sorry, I can't get the word that I want to use, but it's called the Vantage score. A Vantage, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they combine the 3 and get an average. And there's another scoring system that they use. It's called a Vantage score, in order to determine if you qualify for a mortgage. There's not one specific bureau that they use in determining your eligibility.
Oh,
Mhm.
So that's new. Has that been used for a while? Because I only knew about the 3 credit bureaus.
Yeah, it's since I've been a realtor, that's what I've known. That's what I've been told. They'll look at your credit score in your credit report, but there's another scoring system that they use, and it's called the Vantage scoring system. And it might be like I said, I of the three, the I'm sorry, an estimate of the three, and to determine what the score is. Hmm.
Oh, huh. Okay. Well, yeah, that is definitely new information for me personally. I guess I need to do a little bit more research myself. I believe my
Hmm.
credit is high enough. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, I've had a few people who told me that they still have student loans or that they are drawing unemployment. With coronavirus and the pandemic, there's been so many people to lose their jobs. However, they're still interested in purchasing a house. They are getting money through unemployment, though. So this is technically 2 different questions. One is, can I buy a house if I have student loans? And you know what? I'll hold on to the unemployment question. Let's start with the student loans. Can I buy a house if I have student loans?
You can buy a house with student loan. You can. Um, the student loan, they just take into consideration the student loans when determining what your debt is. Okay, just like your debt to income ratio and your credit, your income. So if your credit is still good and your income is good, you can buy a house with student loan. It's not impossible.
Oh, good. Whew, I am relieved to know that because I got me some student loans and I just wasn't quite sure. I'm happy that that's not going to block my ability to purchase a home. Now, moving on to the second part of the question, for those who are drawing unemployment,
Mhm.
are they going to be able to buy a house?
No,
No, I see your head shaking. No.
no. You
Okay.
have to be working. You have to have an income from working, and you have to be working for a certain amount of time. I believe at the same job for at least a year, I believe. And you have to have a steady income, and it has to be employment. It can't be unemployment.
Okay. Well, that's at least nice to know. I know right now there's so many people that are out and they're not working. However, they have quote unquote money in the bank and they're thinking about purchasing a house, but it sounds like it's better off if they wait until they're able to be employed again.
Hmm.
Moving on, our next question. This is a hot topic right now. So many, you have no idea the number of people who want to go out and buy a house right now, especially during these coronavirus times, during the pandemic. So they feel it's a great idea to go ahead and do it now. Do you think it's a good idea?
I mean, you have to decide when the best time to purchase your home for yourself. You have to make that decision. COVID's been going on for about a year now, and as long as you're being safe, as long as you're taking the precautions that you need to take, if now is the right time for you to purchase your home, then you can go ahead and purchase your home. Wearing your mask, washing your hands, the 6 feet distancing, you know, I wouldn't say that it's a bad idea. Like I said, you have to do what works for you. If you feel like now is the good time for you to purchase your home, then you go ahead and purchase your home. Hmm.
Yeah, well, I have a good number of friends personally who have purchased homes during the pandemic. And I've asked them, why are you doing it now? They said the interest rates at the banks have been historically low because so many people were able to now purchase. And so the houses are there and available. So I've been wondering, well, is this a good time to buy a house? I guess for some people it is.
For some people. Yeah, I mean, I guess their credit was good enough for them to get a low interest rate and buy a house at this time, you know. And like I said, it was good for you. What you think is good for you, you do. But they're taking all the precautions that, you know, that we need to take right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We are getting closer to our Q&A, but before we jump to our Q&A, I have one more poll. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. Oh, wait, actually, let's go back. I have a lot of people who've asked, and I'm not quite sure. Hopefully you can help us with this. A home warranty, is it worth it? Is it important? And then there's a second question about what's the difference from the home warranty and then home insurance. So I'll let you answer the first question first. Home warranty, is it worth it?
Yes, a home warranty is important and it is worth it. Home warranty covers the cost of your appliances in your house, your refrigerator, stove, your dishwasher, the big appliances in your house that may need repairs, the HVAC, the furnace. The home warranty covers, depending on what home warranty you have, it covers those major appliances in your home that may need repairs from time to time. And they will come and repair it with little to no money out of pocket. And I mean, I think it's worth it, you know, because some of these things can cost thousands of dollars to repair. And it's just worth it. The insurance is worth it. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that. So then the home warranty, where do you get it from? Is there, I'm trying to understand the home warranty. So am I supposed to buy it or is it provided when I buy the house?
Most of the time, the seller already has a home warranty on the house. And most of the time, if they don't have it, they will purchase it as an incentive for the buyer to purchase the home. However, sometimes a seller's home warranty may expire and they may not have it. So you would have to purchase one yourself. Um, but 9 times out of 10, it's one on your home already, and the seller will have it on their house.
Wow, that's nice to know. I never heard of home warranty until very recently. You know, I'm learning something new today. So then what's the difference between home warranty and home insurance? Is it
Okay.
the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. The mortgage company requires you to have home insurance on your home. You have to have home insurance on your home. The home insurance covers your house in case of damage or destruction, you know, from fire, weather conditions, things of that nature. The home insurance will cover either pay your house off, and you can get a new one if it's to that point where it's not salvageable, or repair what needs to be repaired in your home. But it is required. A home warranty is not required, but a home insurance is.
Ah, okay. Well, then I guess I have to find home insurance before I close on the house. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before you close, you have to pay 1 year of, you have to prepay for 1 year for your home insurance for the mortgage company and show them proof that you paid it. Hmm. Yes.
1 year's worth? Okay.
It's not as much as you think it is, though. You should be okay.
Okay, if you say so. Well, I was so excited and I said, we're going to list the poll, but I forgot about this question. But now we're going to have the poll. So let's
Okay.
move to the next slide. All right, we see here more and more people are single nowadays. And so there were some questions about buying a house. Do you have to be married to buy a house? Oh, I see some answers popping up. Do you all think you can buy a house without being married? Yes or no? What do we think? What do we think? Okay, I see some answers. I see some no's. No, 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 no. A lot of people saying nope, nope. No, 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 no. Okay. It looks like everyone's saying no. You do not need to be married to buy a house. Letitia, what do you say?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You do not have to be married to buy a house. No, the answer is no. That is correct. You can be single, divorced,
All right, so
married, not
everybody,
married. You do not.
okay. So while I'm happy that there's some flexibilities for us out here, there was one person who made a comment that said, you don't have to be married to buy a house, but it may be complicated in the future. Mostly because, okay, if I buy a house and then I have a new partner, and maybe my partner has also already purchased a house and we get married, we now have two houses. I don't want to give up my house and they don't want to give up their house. We may end up fighting it out, trying to figure out where we're going to live. But I guess that's something you'd have to see.
That's funny. That's funny. If that happens and no one wants to give up their house, then I guess you're going to have to decide which house you're going to live in and maybe rent the other one out. That way both of you still have your houses. Or if you want to buy a new house that both of you live in and rent the two houses out. How about that?
Come on now. I like that. I like that. Yes. Come on, third house. Now, we're going to move to the next slide, which starts our Q&A. We have so many questions. I think we've done a great job tonight. Hey, hey. Now, let's see. Let's open up some of the questions. There are 9 questions. I hope you're ready, Letitia.
Ready.
Okay. I like that you're ready, girl. Okay. All right. So question number 1. New York City has begun offering workshops that require you attend 4 or 5 times in order to get a quote unquote free $10,000 to commit to staying in a property for 10 years. So what happens if you're not staying in a property? If I'm there and it's been 5 years and I want to move, what happens if I break that promise?
Most of the time what would happen is they would put a $10,000 lien on your house if you break that contract, which means that when you sell the house, they'll get their $10,000 back and you'll get the proceeds of the house. That's most of the time what happens. Sometimes it doesn't, it slips through the cracks, but most times, if they say you have to stay in there for a certain amount of time, then you need to stay in there for a certain amount of time or they want their money back.
Ew. That sucks. That's no fun. Well, okay. Well, for those of you who asked the question, think hard and long about it. All right, moving on to our next question. Oh, this is a paragraph. Whew, there's a lot of questions in one. All right, let's see. I bought a house about 2 years ago before the pandemic, but since then, my priorities and needs have vastly changed. Now, I love this house and the value in my area is going up. I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons. Should I sell or should I stay? But as you know, wealth is not easily accumulated for Black people. So there's a part of me that really want to be smart and explore whether I should hang on to it a little bit longer and maybe I move out and let the house become an additional stream of revenue, like an Airbnb or rent it out. But honestly, this terrifies me because I'm a single person and I'm a homeowner with limited access to resources in ASL. I want to make informed decisions. What should I look at first to determine the pros and the cons?
Interesting. Okay, in order to rent out the house, I think one of the decisions that you need to make is going to a landlord workshop, learning how to be a landlord, learning all of the protocols that you need to follow, the guidelines, so you're not breaking any laws when it comes to renting out and having tenants, because it's not as easy as it sounds. However, I do think that holding on to your home is a good idea, but you just have to know what's best for you. What are your goals for the future? You know, if the home prices are going up, they may continue to go up. So if you hold on to it just a little bit longer, you know, you might get more money for it. And just like you said, wealth is scarce in the Black community, and a part of wealth is owning property. Okay, so I can't tell you what to do. You have to make the best decision for yourself. But those are the options. Hold on to it, see if the property value is going to go up more and get more money for it. Or if you're going to rent it out, just make sure you take classes and learn how to be a landlord. And best of luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you who asked that question. My fingers are crossed. Now, our next question is a very interesting question for those who feel that they're not ready to buy at this moment. You mentioned the 30-33 rule. Does that also apply to renting apartments as well? Because, you know, there's some people who just move constantly, but you mentioned this 30-30-3 rule. So is this a wise way to kind of budget your finances for apartments as well, or it doesn't apply to apartments?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's hard when renting because, I mean, depending on your family size, you need what you need. You need the number of bedrooms that you need, and you're not always able to control what the rental prices are. You understand? Sometimes you got to get what you can get to you know, accommodate your family, you know. But yes, that is the rule. The rule is always your housing should be 1/3 of your income so that you can live comfortably. You're not living paycheck to paycheck, or you're not just living to pay rent, just living to pay mortgage. You know, you don't have extra to do other things, whatever those other things may be, you know. But like I said, when you got a big family, you got 3 and 4 kids, you can't always have a 1 and 2 bedroom apartment. You gotta have room for your children to have their own space, their own room. So you gotta do what's
That's
best.
true.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I know there's some who prefer to purchase a house because sometimes the mortgage is cheaper than rent. But then there are others who feel that they're just not ready.
Mhm,
They don't want to stay in, let's say, New Jersey. They don't want to stay in that one place. What if they want to move to Atlanta, Georgia?
mhm,
But if
mhm,
they buy a house, they're kind of
mhm,
stuck. So
mhm.
I totally get it. It is a difficult decision to make.
Absolutely, it's very difficult. So you have to base that on your goals, your future goals. If you're not planning on staying in New Jersey long term, then it really doesn't make sense to buy a house in New Jersey if that's not where you're planning to live. So yes,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. And some people just don't want the responsibility of having a house. Some people just want to rent and let the landlord take the responsibility of making repairs or mowing the lawn or shoveling the snow. They don't want the responsibility, because when you have a home, all those responsibilities are yours. You have to make sure those things are done. You can't call the landlord and say, come and fix my leak that I got. That's your house. You have to fix it, you know? So to each his own. Everybody is different and you have to know what it is that you want and you can handle.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right. That's very true. You have to see. Hopefully, the response that you just gave is going to help someone make that determination.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So our next question: which would you support? The best purchase price, like the house itself is a great deal, or a better interest rate? Which would you go for most? The best purchase price, excuse me, or the best interest rate?
Interest rate, definitely. Interest rate. That interest rate is going to
Why?
the interest rate is going to be better for you long term. Okay, your interest based on your interest rate, you can pay double for your house. If your house was $100,000, by the time you finish paying for it, based on your interest rate, you could be paying $200,000 for that house. Okay, so even if you got a good deal on the house, if you got a high interest rate, you're going to be paying for the house long term. So I would definitely go for, but the interest rate is not necessarily determined. Your purchase price is not necessarily determined upon your interest rate. Your interest rate comes from the bank. So you can have a low interest rate and still get a really good purchase price for a house. They're two separate things. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to go for the interest rate being low, which means keep your credit high. You have a high credit score. You're paying your bills on time and you have a low debt to income ratio. So when you have a high credit score, most likely you're going to have a low interest rate. You understand? And that doesn't determine the purchase price of a house. Your realtor can still find you a house and you get a good deal on it. You understand? So I can get both. And that's an ideal situation is to get both. A low interest rate and a good deal in a house.
That's true, but sometimes you gotta find it. You gotta
Yeah,
see. You gotta see.
yeah,
It's like people playing the lottery.
yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta see. You gotta get the good interest rate, and you want a good deal. So you kind of just gotta see what's out there and available.
Right.
All righty. So moving on to our next question. I own a condo. If I wanted to buy another home and just sell my current condo, which do I need to do first? Should I sell my condo first before I buy the other house? Or should I go ahead and buy the other house and then sell the condo? Which is best to do first?
Absolutely sell your condo first, unless you can afford two mortgages at one time. If you can afford two mortgages, then you can go ahead and buy another house. But yes, I would absolutely suggest that you sell your condo first and then buy another one. Yes, I mean, unless you're going to rent it out. But even if you did rent it out, you still have to prove that you can afford another mortgage. That's a whole nother another process unless your condo is paid off. If the condo is paid off, then you can very well rent it out and buy another one. But if you still owe on your condo and you're trying to get a loan for another one, then you may very well have to sell that one first, unless you can prove, like I said, that you can afford both, or you can know for yourself that you can afford to have two mortgages. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. That's I'm happy that you gave that suggestion. That's a good one. Let's see. I think I have time for just one more question. Let's see which one we're going to ask. I'm looking through. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the best question for us to close out. Can you buy a house if you have student loans that are over $100,000? If my current job salary is only $48,000, can I buy a house?
That's gonna be hard. I mean, it's not impossible, but that's gonna be hard. With your student loan being $100,000, they want to know how much money are you paying monthly on your student loan? What's your monthly payment? And they're gonna take that into consideration when determining your income and your eligibility to afford a mortgage. You understand? They're gonna take that payment into consideration, how much money you're paying a month on your student loan. So you're gonna have to be able to show that you can afford to pay that student loan payment every month and pay a mortgage payment along with it. Not impossible, like I said, but it may be hard. May be hard. Only making $40,000 a year. You might get approved, but it might not be the amount that you want to get approved for, you know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on how much the house itself is worth,
Mm-hmm.
and then compare that with
Mm-hmm.
the income and how much you can pay. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it depends, like you said. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, we got about 7 minutes left. Let me see if I can just squeeze in one more question. Let me squeeze in one more. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. This is a good question. What does the process look like if you decide to buy land and then customize your house? Is it the same if you buy a house that's already built? Is it the same process? You got to go to the bank, got to get approval, or is the process different?
So the same thing. The process is the same. Once you get a mortgage, you can decide if you want to build with that mortgage or if you want to buy an existing home with that mortgage. You can still use the same amount of money that they give you to build a house or buy an existing house. And if you decide to build a house, they'll just give you time to get your house built, get everything done before you start making mortgage payments on your home. The process is still the same though. The only thing is you would need a realtor because you're already building, you're not looking for one. And I need to add one more question in there before we leave, if that's okay. Because
Oh,
you spoke
okay.
about
Yeah, go ahead.
whether or not you needed a realtor to buy a home. And I answered that question. So the next question I want to ask is, do you need a lawyer when you're purchasing a home? And a lot of people don't seem to think that you do need a lawyer, but you do. You do need a lawyer because there are a lot of legalities and logistics when it comes to purchasing a home. And a lawyer is going to look out for your best interest. So you don't get stuck with a home that you have to put a lot of money into. So you don't get, what word I'm going to use? Just so you don't get stuck. They're looking out for your best interest when buying this home. Mm-hmm. So just make sure you have a lawyer.
Oh, yes, that's a good question. You know, I never thought about having to bring in a lawyer. So that means we have
Mhm.
to pay for the lawyer as well, or is the lawyer included within the closing costs?
It's in the closing costs. You have to pay for the lawyer, but it is included in your closing costs. Mhm. One more thing. I think it's very important also, which is the home inspection. You spoke about the home inspection and also the house inspection. Okay, the city inspection just deals with the city. That the city just wants to make sure that the home is safe for the next buyer, and you're required to have that inspection. However, the home inspection is not required, but it is in your best interest. Most people don't want to get a home inspector because they have to pay out of pocket for it. But the home inspector is going to look at every inch of your home to make sure that there are no uh, 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 anything that you wouldn't be able to see. They would be able to see to make sure that you're not paying money when you get into that home for make sure your HVAC is working, the roof doesn't need to be repaired. You don't have what's some little bugs in the wood? I forgot the name of the bugs in the wood, but the bugs in the wood, I
Oh,
forget.
termites?
Termites, thank you. You don't have termites in the wood. They're going to look for things that you would not be able to see on your own, that you would have to pay a lot of money after buying it in order to rectify it. So a home inspection is very, very important, and everyone should get one. Okay, I just wanted to bring those two issues up, you guys.
Wow, you know, I'm glad you added those tips. I'm so happy. You know, we still have so many great questions, but our time is running out. I'll discuss with CSD and see if we can answer just a few more questions. Maybe you and I can chat and I can sign and upload them at a later date. Well, let me start and to wrap up by saying thank you, Letitia. This has been great. You are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Let's move to our next
Yeah.
slide.
Thank you guys so much. The pleasure was all mine, and I really hope that everybody got all the information that they needed.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh, I'm so excited that we had you here tonight. Now our night is not done. Let me tell you about next week. Make sure you come join us same time, 7 o'clock on a Tuesday. We will be discussing cryptocurrency. This is digital money, and I want you all to really come and learn. It's a newer concept, but it is hot. So please register and join us next week. Next slide.
No problem.
Unfortunately, we are ending. You see the tears strolling down my face. I would love to just talk with you all night long, Letitia, but thank you
Yes,
so much for joining us.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to the Oh, yes, yes, yes. Thank you to the interpreters as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Those who are voicing for
Thank you.
me, and Gloshonda that's here. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks, CSD Learns, Wells Fargo Foundation, just everyone. Thank you, everyone who's watched.